welcome to episode 2 of the 1% Man. The last episode we had Luke Barnett talking about physicality and mentality. And this episode, I'm going to talk about my favorite topic, money. There are a lot of cliches about money around the world. And one of the main ones that annoys me, that people keep talking about, is money doesn't buy you happiness. Well, poverty and living on the edge also doesn't buy you happiness. So I brought in a very special guest today, a good friend of mine, who has gone through this journey from going from zero to making millions. He's a well-known personality in the freelancing digital marketing space, a good friend of mine, a man with a godly voice, Dylan Moneybag Madden. How are you, brother?
Good, brother.
You like that intro?
Me. I love the intro. Yeah, glad to be here, brother. Glad to be here.
Good stuff, good stuff. Why do they call you Moneybag?
So it's a funny story. Back whenever I was living in Romania with Andrew and Tristan, I always carry the satchel. I think it's a European handbag or what, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. I would wear that any time you needed anything. Money, cigars, cigar cutter, anything. Passports, whatever. I always had it. And one night we were at a club, and Andrew looked over at me, and he was just staring at me, and I was like, everything good? And he was like, money bag. And I was just like, okay. And he was like, Moneybag Madden. And then Tristan said it, and it basically just carried from there. And that I was like, you know what? I like that. So that's what my close friends call me. People that actually have been like day one, quote unquote, fans, followers. They know me as Moneybag Madden.
Yeah.
So that's how I got started.
That's a cool name.
Yeah.
It's a cool name. Got the symbol and logo and everything going.
Oh, yeah. The emoji and everything. Actually, funny story. Yeah. Apple designed the strength emoji, the money bag emoji, just for me. That's why I post it all over the place.
Really?
It represents money bag.
Oh, nice. Well, that's pretty good. I like that. So you moved to Dubai,
right?
I know you believe in being geographically independent. Mm-hmm. So tell me about your journey. Why did you move to Dubai? Why did you choose Dubai?
Yeah. So I was actually here back in 2019, and I was broke. Like, literally, I'm talking like $1,200 a month broke. Like back in 2019. Staying at Andrew had a penthouse, whatever. He was letting me borrow a room, and I was like, I want to come back to this place because like everything here was expensive to me in those days. And then I was only here for about a month, and I went to the country of Georgia, then Budapest, went all over, and I ended up in Qatar for about 9 months. Yeah, but I always missed Dubai. And then I went to South America, and I was there, South America, Central America, focusing on myself. By the time I got to South America, I was earning some pretty decent money, and I decided, I was like, you know what, Dylan. Maybe you didn't like living in America because you were broke and like just angry and you didn't want to work a regular 9 to 5. Maybe that's why. So I went back to Texas, actually. I was this close to getting an apartment in Dallas. And I was like, no, it wasn't the money. I just actually don't like living in America. It's just everything about it I don't like about it. So I moved from there to Paraguay. Okay. Had an apartment. I still have an apartment there.
Paraguay's cool.
Oh, it's really cool. Yeah. It's one of my favorite South American countries. Yeah. Safe, cheap, good people. So I'll definitely be visiting Paraguay again. But as far from a living perspective, networking perspective, being around the boys, like all that type of stuff, Dubai is the way. Because I just came to Dubai 2 months ago now for 1 week. I was like, book me a flight for 1 week. I'm going to come out, hang out with Andrew, hang out with Tristan, meet you, etc. And it's like, you know what? I kind of like Dubai. And then Andrew, we were smoking shisha. It's like, gee, why don't you just live here? And I was like, excuse. When I was on my way back to my hotel, I was like, why don't you live here? So 2 months later, here we are. And I love it. Already have the residency set up, super straightforward in Dubai. Got the living situation taken care of. Now I'm working on moving my team here as well. Only the team members that deserve it, though, you know. Okay. So they're going to be living here soon by probably March. Okay. And Dubai's a new home base. And I see myself living here like, I don't know, October, November, December, January, February, and then maybe check out Europe. Then check out Asia, because like we were talking about earlier, being independent, being able to go. I don't want to be places where I don't like the weather, don't like the people.
Well, you're going to like the summer here, bro.
Yeah.
Summer's here beautiful.
Oh, really? That's what I've heard.
In summer, we have snow.
Yeah.
That summer's pretty hot. I agree. Yeah. Dubai's a place. It's safe. The country's done a lot of good things over the last few years. I've been here before the Burj Khalifa was built. I've been here before a lot of things have happened. So it's a good place. You made a good choice.
Yeah. That's what everybody tells me. And like Dubai seems to be the place where everything's happening. Yeah. Like I swear all the big movers that I know and that I've been networking with are all moving here, and they're like, bro, Dubai's the spot. Like a lot of people last year, everybody was like Miami. And I stopped by Miami while I was like living in America for like 4 months.
Yeah.
Could not stand it. Like I'm not bashing anybody that lives there, but it's full of low, like just bad energy. So Dubai's the spot.
Dubai's the spot.
Yeah.
Dubai's spot. So the viewers who don't know you,
Yeah.
just give us a bit of your story. Who are you? Where did you come from?
So yeah, I mean, I was basically that stereotypical like country boy. I used to have a country accent too. I've trained that out of me.
I didn't notice it.
Oh yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. I didn't realize how bad it was until I heard myself on a video.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, it's so bad. I was like, hey guys, my name's Dylan Madden. Blah, blah. I was like, oh God. So yeah, I was just born and raised in a small town. Ended up living in a city called Charleston. And I got to experience both sides of the world, like as far as, or reality, I should say. My mom, poverty for sure. Like I'm talking about like going through the kitchen trying to find food that I could eat, and then she would sometimes not eat, not for days, but you know what I mean. Like she wanted to make sure I was good. Yeah.
Living on the edge, yeah.
So I got to experience that until I was like 8 years old, and then some stuff happened, and basically my dad ended up getting custody of me, and he was like middle class, like a stereotypical middle class American. I was like, we can eat out every night. There's 2 cars outside. I need to figure this money thing out.
Yeah.
But then also observing him and learning from him, because he's like a mentor for me, I also saw the corporate world wasn't for me, because he's like a high-level corporate guy now.
Yeah.
He's always stressed. He's always working. He's like missing out on family time and all that. Like I didn't see my dad for like a year straight, several times, like just a year. I forgot even what he looked like almost in my mind, which was weird.
Yeah.
So I got to see that, and that basically over the years led me to like I wanted to figure out this business thing, and I thought it would be having like a local like offline business. But then around 2014, I got exposed to this whole online marketing, blogging world. Like guys living in Thailand.
Beginning of the beginning.
Yeah, beginning of the beginning. Yeah. People were like making like $10,000-$20,000 a month selling books online, writing blog articles. So I was like, maybe that's for me. So I didn't have an interesting life at the time, so I knew I couldn't do monetize my own life, but there was something called affiliate marketing.
Right.
So I got into that and I started building niche websites, and that made a little bit of money. And I could ramble on for all the years of like trying different things. Like I worked on a farm. Most of my money before I moved abroad was from cleaning properties. Like, so I would be that weirdo.
Literally cleaning properties.
Literally
physical work.
Physical work. Literally, I would be that guy at like 3 a.m. as you're about to leave off like in your Lambo after just a fun night, and I would be this guy out in the parking lot picking up trash, putting trash into buckets, cleaning the bathroom, changing the trash cans.
This was how many years ago?
This was like 2016, 2017, 2018.
Wow, man.
Yeah. So, and I was doing that, and then I expanded into taking care of marinas and just maintenance-related stuff. By the way...
So what switched you to...
Yeah.
Where were you at? Why did you get digital?
So,
obviously to make money, but...
In my mind, as long as I did not allow myself to find a job that would give me that comfort that everybody else around me had.
Yeah.
Like I hated cleaning. Like there's nothing worse than having to clean a bathroom after somebody else does what they do in there. It's humbling. So I knew as long as I kept myself in that environment, I would eventually figure things out. And I did. I
so you were in Charleston then, or Prague?
Charleston, yeah.
Charleston. Okay.
Yeah, Charleston.
Then you moved to Prague.
Never been to Prague.
Okay,
Paraguay.
Paraguay, sorry.
Yeah,
Paraguay.
Yeah. So to make a long story short, like I studied all these different people, and like I definitely had what a lot of the viewers relate to is shiny object syndrome. Like I would finally find something that would start working, but then I would watch some YouTube video or Instagram video about something else that's even better, and I'd be, okay, that's it. So I would bounce around trying all these different things, and fast forward to January 2019, I went to Jamaica because I promised a friend of mine I would finally leave the country. We were only out of the country for like 3 days, and anyways, he was typing on his computer, writing emails. I was like, bro, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I do this thing called email copywriting. And I was like, cool, how much money do you make doing that? He's like, $6,000 a month. I was like, $6,000 a month to write emails? So yeah, bro, I mean, I'm surprised you don't do it. I mean, you're a better writer than I am. And I was like, huh. And then that led me to, once I got back to the States, my brother told me Andrew was back in town, or in the States. And I was like, oh no, he was here last weekend. And I was like, or no, I said, he was here last weekend. He was like, no, he's literally in DC right now. And I was like, go pack your bag. And I literally took my book bag off, threw it back in his car, DM'd Andrew, because we had a little bit of rapport at the time. It's like, no pressure. I'll be there in 8 hours, getting an Airbnb. If we can meet for coffee, great. I'm sure you get this all the time, so I won't take it personally. To make a long story short, we met for coffee. He invited me out to like this it's like some political party thing where we went out to meeting like a lot of the big names. I'm not going to name drop, but like some big name like politicians in America, and then like Candace Owens, those types of people.
Okay.
Cernovich was there, etc. So yeah. Anyways, met again the next morning, and he sat me down for like 3 hours, bro, and like he just blew my mind. And from that point, that was when I started taking the whole freelancing thing seriously. 6 months later, I got an opportunity with him in Romania, and here we are, like 4 years later, and it all started from
What
that.
did he tell you specifically that triggered that in you?
He made it easy. In my mind, I thought it was complicated. He was like, all you need to do is find a product or service that helps somebody, and then leverage your social media brand like you're already doing. It's just you need to get in the DMs. And I was like, get in the DMs? Oh, like message people and say, hey, I can help you with something. And it was just that little light bulb, just it turned on from that one conversation. And I've told the story before, like from that conversation we had, an idea he gave me, I made like $1,600 in a week. Nice. Which like blew my mind. I was like, okay, this is real. Like I'd done $1,000 in a day, but that was like one of those things that would happen every once in a while.
Yeah.
But this, I did it, and I was able to keep duplicating it. And yeah, I mean, one thing led to another, which ended up with me in Dubai, like I said, in 2019, was still not quite taking things serious enough. But it was that moment of being in Dubai, living in a penthouse, only making $1,200 a month, broke. I was just like, and I missed a flight. And I've told this story before. I missed a flight because I was just like 12 a.m., 12 p.m. You know, you get that mixed up sometimes. And I was just sitting there eating, and I was like, why do I feel like I'm supposed to be at the airport? And I grabbed my phone. I was like, oh, God, my flight's leaving in 20 minutes. Oh, my God. And so I was like, okay, cool. Don't have enough money. I need to go to Georgia. And that was when I was like, okay, Dylan, you need to take this freelancing thing seriously. Like, you're really out here. You've already told yourself you're not going back until you can afford to fly business class, no problem. So you got to figure this stuff out. And I didn't have anybody to fall back on or anything. So I was like, okay. So I started reaching out to people in the DMs, and that created what I call the money bag method, which I teach inside the real world. But reached out to some clients, closed a guy for $1,000, used that $1,000 to buy a plane ticket and an Airbnb for 2 weeks in Georgia. Got to Georgia, started grinding again, closed another client. And I mean, that one thing led to another. And I started piecing it togetwer after that moment.
That's a very cool story.
Yeah, I could talk for hours about it.
Really good reels.
Oh yeah, well.
I want to ask one specific thing, right? So a lot of things you mentioned about not being satisfied and want to live up to a certain level and so on. It's a constant theme in my life. Like I said in one of my first newsletters, that I hate to live an ordinary life. Now that sounds cool when you say it, but if you have that, if something is bugging you in your mind, that you see the whole world, that okay, this is the way the world has been set up. You know, you go to university, then you do this and this, then you get a job that you kind of don't like, then you meet somebody, then you do this, then you do that, and then the life is already planned out for most people, and that's okay.
Yeah,
to some part of the population. But I believe that a lot of, as far as I see from the DMs and messages I get, there's a population of people, and probably is a large population now, especially young guys, who want to live a different life. They don't want to comply to the systems or the standards set by the society. And that's not cultural as well. That's globally the same.
Yeah.
And I always had that feeling since I was like 8, 9 years old. I cannot live the life my family or people I know live, because I'll end up killing myself. Because that level of narrowness to living, okay, you got to do this. This is the way. This is how it is. I cannot survive like that. So I'll always live my life taking a lot of risk. A lot of that didn't work out, but I have wonderful stories to talk about with people like you. This is really cool, but I've had my successes too. But I cannot imagine living that life. So that's probably where you come from, cleaning the trash, doing this and that. You could have done some side hustle, like, okay, I make $3,000. Whatever. That's good money. For a lot of people, like, shit, that's a lot of money. What was your mindset? What was the constant theme in your head that was telling you or bugging you that made you make all these moves? Because these are big jumps that you just told me, right? It wasn't a 10-year gap.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was like a delusional sense of what I was worth, but I was also angry.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah.
But I was also angry because I felt like I wasn't living up to what I could actually be doing, and like every single day.
But is it like a guilty feeling?
Oh, it's super guilty. Yeah, like I literally, that's what I had. It was that guilt every day going and clocking into the job. Or every day, because I quit my job in 2016 and started doing the cleaning thing, or like cleaning, listening to these podcasts. I'm like, what the fuck are these guys doing that I'm not doing? They're no better than me, because I was meeting a lot of these guys, like going to events and all that. And I was like, they're taking ideas, like I'm giving them ideas and they love it. Like, what is going on? Or these guys like Ed Lattimore, Cortez, the Tates, they see something in me. So obviously I've got something. So what am I not doing right? So it's all those little experiences that, I mean, really just molded me into who I am today. And even now, I'm much more successful and all that. But even now, I still feel that sense of guilt if I'm not constantly pushing, just like, okay, how can we get better? How can we do more? How can we see more places? How can we bring more people on? And I was actually talking to Justin Waller yesterday, and he really blew my mind with like some stuff. I'm not going to drop it all on the air right now, but he showed me a way at that next level. Because like for me, a lot of my identity is being a hard worker. I'm always the first person up, last person to go to bed. I'll outwork anybody around me. Like that's 100% my identity.
Yeah.
But now I'm transforming myself more and more into, not only do I have that same sense of pride, but it's not necessarily about me doing the actual day-to-day work. It's more so becoming almost like an engineer, an artist of like systems and all of that. Because
that is the next level.
Yeah, for anybody that's watching this, like my income, whenever I was at 15 grand a month, the way I was able to get to 20 and to 30 and to 40 was simply by me bringing on more people, because you're limited about how many hours you can work every day, your energy. You might not be on point one day. But if you've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people working day in, day out, they can accomplish way more than what you can. So you have to get to the point where you're so clear on what your 20%, like, you know, the 80-20 rule, what your 20% of things are that you need to be doing. And once you can get super dialed in on that, and then you can trust people. And this is the part that I've got the issue with, letting go. Got to let go just a little bit and be like, okay, they're competent. Otherwise, they wouldn't be working like with me, for me, however you want to frame that. So I'm going to trust them. Like I've got my operations guy is my right-hand guy. I'll introduce you to him here the next month. I trust him, like 100% trust him, because he knows exactly the standard I have. He's also a hard worker. He also has that same level of high standards. So you have to put people around you.
It's hard to find people like that. Once you find them, they stick around. They change.
100%, bro. 100%. You got to take care of those types of people and build them up. But like I just 100% trust him, because I know he's going to get the job done. And the more people like that you can surround yourself with, not only does your income go up, but then if you have people around you that are good, their income's going to go up. So it's going to be a win-win. It's not just about, I'm going to make as much money as I can off other people. It's about how can we win as a team? Because if they're winning, they're going to want you to win even more. And it's just like the momentum's just going to go crazy.
That's true.
So yeah, that's
you can only scale a business up for a certain time using people. And I know for a fact that most businesses, good businesses, take around 5 to 7 years to become truly successful, cash flow positive. There's assets in the company and so on. So to get to that level, forget the number amount. You need good people around you. And that's 100%. Key, and you need to take care of them. And they are the hardest thing to find. People who think making money in a business is hard to find. Getting good people to stay on is 1,000%.
I've traveled the world finding these people. I've got like 3 solid people around me right now. In total, we've got about 50, but the 3 out of that 50, it's like they're 100% on the inner circle. Like they're good. One of them I found in Paraguay. One of them I found in America. Another I found in Eastern Europe. So it's like those are my people, and you've got to take care of them. Like pay raises, cool. Buy, like if their laptop is like messed up or whatever, just buy them a new MacBook. They deserve it. Buy them a new phone. They need it. And that little things like that. A lot of people, they just expect people to work, but you have to incentivize people. If you don't incentivize people, why are they going to help you?
Exactly.
So that's a key point of me transitioning, especially since last year, into who I am now, is just more and more understanding, like, Dylan, you let the ego go, let go of the control. You do need people around you. Because also there are some people that can do things 1,000 times better than I can. Example, video edits, graphics, different things like that. I could sit there for 8 hours trying to edit a video. They'll sit down for like an hour, 2 hours, and it's 1,000,000 times better than what I could do. And once you accept that, and you're like, okay, I can accomplish every single objective I've got, and other people are going to be a part of that. It's a win-win situation. Slowly, you'll start really fixing your brain. However, I'm also a big proponent, like for freelancers specifically, you've got to grind for 18 hours a day in the beginning. You need to know a little bit of everything. You need to learn outreach. You need to learn your specific skill set. You need to learn how to create content. You need to learn all these types of things. Even if you're not that good like doing it yet, you need to at least become borderline competent, because otherwise you're going to bring a bunch of people around you, and you just surround yourself with those types of competent people, and as your competence grows, then you can better train those people and all that. So, and that's a key point of transitioning from a freelancer that's struggling to get by to now I've got two full-on companies. It's because I spent probably longer than I should have, because I don't want to let go of that control, but I spent so much time becoming competent in a bunch of different things and just grinding out and focusing on getting results for other people. Like a lot of freelancers, they focus on, okay, how can I take on as many clients, make as much money as possible, versus me. I was like, okay, I've got my first client. Now I'm going to refine the process, and I'm going to take on my second client. I'm going to refine the process. And I didn't try to get paid the most amount of money in the beginning. I was like, if I can get really good at what I'm doing, other people are going to start talking about me. I can just show them a screenshot. Hey, here's what I've done for a client over the past 15 days. I have some ideas that we can do the same thing for you.
Yeah.
Boom. And then I can charge whatever I want at that point. So you need to start a little bit slower in the beginning, but your execution obviously needs to be quick. So don't try to take on a bunch of clients up front. Take on 1, 2, max. Get really good at what you're doing, and then from there you can grow it into a full-on agency and all that. So and at that point, obviously, you need the team.
Since you touched on that, I was about to talk to you about this later. So if you want to talk about it, so I've got a lot of young guys reaching out to me, like I mentioned, like how do I make money? As much as information is available today everywhere, people are more confused than ever. There's so many ways to look at it. When I was growing up, there was barely internet. Yeah, I'm a bit old. But there were some things you can do. So I chose the path of sales and technical and business and so on. So I know where I was going. I was good at it, and I'm pretty successful doing it. And today there are multiple avenues to get into, which is digital space. If I was growing up, I will say, okay, I'm going to go to the online space, whatever that is. Now there are guys in different parts of the world. Not all of them are from the US. Yeah. There are limitations to what they can do. But if you were to tell these guys, like there's a 19-year-old guy sitting right now saying, Dylan, I've got a phone. I've got some basic skills around stuff. Yeah. What do I do? What are the 3 things I need to make $500 or $1,000, whatever? If you were to go back and start again, same thing. Advise the guy what they can do.
Yeah, so I've got specific advice that could help people in the West, but since we're talking to a global audience, I'll keep it focused on that. I mean, you've got 2 options that just came to my mind immediately. One is affiliate marketing.
There you go. That's good.
Affiliate marketing is fantastic because you're learning basic copywriting, you're learning how to create content, you're learning how to make graphics, you're learning sales. So you could literally set up a couple Twitter accounts or a couple Instagram accounts and leverage other people's content, start posting it, use your affiliate link, and you'll start making money. And you could very easily make $500 like that being an affiliate. And just if you're on Instagram, you can learn video editing. If you're on TikTok, you can learn video editing. If you're on Twitter, you're going to be learning copywriting. So, I mean, that's what I would do. The other option is getting into freelancing, where you focus on one specific skill and you leverage social media. You could find clients. You don't need to waste time with Fiverr and Upwork. So my issue with Fiverr, a lot of freelancers promote that idea. Oh, yeah, set up a Fiverr. You're competing with all these people that will work way more for way less.
Race to the bottom.
Exactly. And I don't have enough time for that. So focus on social media. I mean, it's funny you said late 19-year-olds. I've got even a 14-year-old that's making $5,000 a month.
Nice.
Inside the Real World, the freelancing campus, where he literally came in. He was one of those kids that has a lot of energy, and he would ask the most stupid questions, but I was patient with him. I was like, listen, bro, I gave you, it's called the Simple Steps, and the Simple Steps basically tells you specifically what to do every single day.
Yeah.
I was like, follow the Simple Steps, go through the freelancing course again, use these various resources, and update me every week. Outside of that, stop asking me questions. And he finally started implementing it. He started closing clients, and he's a video editor, and he's crushing it. But we've got so many kids that are just crushing it right now. So your biggest thing is either 1, affiliate marketing, or 2, find some kind of skill. And I know you're sitting there thinking, but Dylan, I don't know what skill. I don't know. I'm brand new. Cool. That's why you got to try quite a few different skills. So I always recommend people start with what you're naturally good at. Like for me, if I try to do web design, because I had a web design company, I had a guy that did the designs. I would help with some of the super basic stuff. It was like banging my head against the wall. It's like, okay, what other skills? So you have to be a little bit like self-reflective. I was like, what other skills do you have, Dylan?
Yeah.
Well, you've always liked writing. You have niche blogs.
Yeah.
Why don't you just get into this whole copywriting thing? So you start the surface level of copywriting, but then you need to find the specific application of that. So whether it's email copywriting, Twitter ghostwriting, different things like that, you need to try each of those. And then as you find like, Twitter ghostwriting, no. Email copywriting things, it's okay. And so you need to try out a bunch of stuff. And the problem with all the young guys that are watching this is you think that you have to just figure it out immediately, like within a week, 2 weeks. Bro, it took me, like, out of the 9 years I've been in the quote-unquote game, 4 of those I was trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
And so for 4 years, I was struggling. Now, the advantage that a lot of these guys have, and I also didn't have, like, I had the internet, I had blogs, but now they have access to things like the real world. They have access to all these Twitter accounts. Like, so many people out there actually are doing this freelancing thing. So if you can just learn from them, you're going to be so far ahead of the game. Like, whenever I got started, I didn't even know what freelancing was. I didn't really know what copywriting was. It was so, like, copywriting's been around.
I thought copywriting was some legal document.
So did I.
So did I. I was like, what the fuck is that?
So, I mean, that's basically all you need to do, bro, is, like, find somebody that's actually living a lifestyle that you admire, that you can tell has longevity. Like, example for me, you can go back 9 years and see my progression. I'm not some guy that just came out for the past year, 2 years, 3 years, just all of a sudden I'm living the great life. You could see me, like, struggling, still, like, being disciplined, staying focused, figuring it out. So find somebody that has a lifestyle that you want, even if it's just a part of the lifestyle you want, that has something to teach you, and then basically just ignore everything else, because the rest of it's just going to be noise. Like, I can give you specific advice that will work, but then there's another person that might give you some advice that will also work, but we both counter each other. So that's why you need to ignore the noise and find, like, one person you can really learn from, learn and apply everything that you can from them. And then, yeah, sure, at another point you can find somebody else, but otherwise you're just going to be going all over the place. Your mind's going to be confused, meaning you're not going to get anywhere. And as a young man specifically, because you don't have enough life experience, if you have, like, 10 different people that you're learning from, you're screwed. So find, like, one specific person. If you want to learn about freelancing, learn from that person, apply, ask them questions if you can have access to them, and you'll prosper.
That's good advice. So freelancing, copywriting, affiliate marketing, those are the quick ones young guys can. And everyone has a phone nowadays.
Everybody.
I didn't have an iPhone when I was growing up. I would have done different things. But people have phones, and this is what I tell people, that you have to stop being a consumer, stop being a producer.
Yeah, that's a good
whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
So I've got lots of young guys reach out to me and say, hey, brother, you're doing these videos, can I do it for you? And I tell them, okay, make this one for me. And they make it. And I've got a really good team that's really picking up really fast and putting out good reels. And these people want to make a name for themselves, help me build a brand and so on. And that's the way, right? There are multiple stories about this. But I think today's world, like I said in the beginning, there's so much information out there. It's created mass confusion. And people are so wrapped up in about celebrity news, movies, this, that, they forget the only person they need to focus is themselves. And
100%.
Yeah, and I truly believe the world is under mass hypnosis, whatever that is. People have forgotten what are the values and things that they need to do, and they follow wherever the media takes them.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the state of the world right now? What's the gap, really?
Yeah.
Because what you said is nothing new. What I'm saying is nothing new. Whatever we talk on the podcast, nothing. None of our posts, nothing new.
Yeah.
But people still behave in a way that this is new information. So what is the gap? What's going on in people's mind? Let's talk about young guys.
I mean, with young guys specifically, it's that we're so confused. We don't, everything that we naturally kind of go towards, we're told is bad. So there's that problem. We don't really have many people outside of, like, a lot of our core group, that those types of people you can actually emulate and be successful. But outside of that, for this average young guy out there watching this, you don't really have many people you can emulate. Yeah. That's how young men, we grow. We need to see
a role model.
A role model. Yeah. We need to have that. And if you adhere to what the quote-unquote matrix, the mainstream, whatever, if you adhere to that, you'll become a man that isn't what I would consider a man. Like, just Bad Bunny, all those types of people, Logan Paul, all those types of people. Like, that's who they want you to focus on. Oh yeah, don't focus on the person that's got a happy family, they're rich, they're living the life that they want. Don't focus on that. Focus on this nonsense over here. And I mean, there's so many different things, bro, that for young men specifically, they need to have better role models. And I mean, you and I, that's part of why we're doing the podcast, is to give them a better role model. Yeah. But then two, there's so much noise out there right now. Like, if you're constantly listening to music, if you're constantly watching TV, Netflix, hearing about, supposedly there's been UFOs sighted all over the world the past week. If you're
those
constantly seeing
UFOs
that,
now.
yeah.
That's
Oh
it.
yeah, it's crazy.
Some things don't work, so they're bringing up new stuff to smoke screens, new smoke screens.
So
yeah.
if you're focused on all these things, but you're not focusing on your own self,
Yeah.
and okay, am I hitting the gym so I'm staying healthy? Am I getting stronger? Am I eating the right diet? Am I building up my skill set so that I can offer value to the world to get money?
Yeah.
Am I learning about the world by actually traveling and seeing it? Am I building a good relationship? Am I being respected? Do I even deserve to be respected? Am I talking to my family? Like, until you focus on that type of stuff in your own life and fix that, knowing about all these other things, literally, it doesn't even matter. So you need to find a core group of like role models you can emulate.
Yep.
Start working on yourself. Like for me, I have created a bubble around me. I've got a person on my team that updates me every couple of days on what's going on in the world. Otherwise, I would not even know. Like I didn't know there was a Super Bowl. I didn't know if any of this stuff. I just get this report, and he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, Dylan, there's a UFO or 2 UFOs spotted over the U.S. Supposedly there was one over Russia. There's a potential coup going on in Moldova. There's a UFO that was spotted over Romania. Earthquake happened in Romania." I was like, "Okay, back to the real world. Get back into focusing on myself." So you need to add some kind of distance between you and the outside world, because otherwise you're just going to have all this noise hitting your mind. And I mean, if you haven't gotten your life in order, and then you feel like the world is literally ending based off what the news is telling you.
Yeah.
The free news, it's kind of like they're trying to direct you in a certain way. But anyways, and you've got all that happening, it's just creating even more noise in your mind.
Yep.
Well, how are you going to become a success? So my biggest recommendation for all of you that are under this mass hypnosis, and even I'm under a form of hypnosis, we all are.
Yeah.
But it's about choosing what hypnotizes you.
True.
Just focus
That's a
on
good point.
yourself.
Yeah.
Focus on yourself. Focus on the immediate people around you. Like, don't hang around losers. Don't hang around people that are always complaining or negative. Don't have any ambition, especially as a young kid. Like, you shouldn't do that. And find people that actually have some kind of ambition, that they're actually hitting the gym. You have to really be. For me, I kind of isolated myself whenever I was on the up and up. Like, I only hung out with my brother. Like, I stopped hanging out with all my other friends because all they wanted to do was do drugs, play video games, watch Netflix, binge watch The Walking Dead. And I was like, I literally can't do any of that. Like, why would I want to do that when I'm already unhappy with the state of my life? So I just stopped hanging out with him. Like, I got to where it'd be like, oh, yeah, well, I'll go to dinner once a week. But then it got to, I'm not even going to talk to you. And you'll have to do that. And I'm not saying to completely isolate yourself because that's not healthy. But you need to find 1, 2, 3, 4 people that you can that really are on the same wavelength. They don't have to be as ambitious as you, because none of my like old friends are as ambitious as me, but they believed in me. And I was like, that's enough. As long as you don't try to get in the way, that's cool. And we're still in contact today. We travel together from time to time. There's a vlog on Moneybag Declassified of us going to Brazil. That was really awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, just doing that and surrounding yourself with better and better people, ignoring the noise, fixing your own life. And then, like, one of the things I was talking to my right-hand guy the other day, I was like, bro, once we've actually made it, all you and I are going to do is sit around smoking cigars and talking about conspiracies and all that stuff all day, because we can actually do it.
We already do.
Yeah.
That's all we do. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that would be my long-winded advice for the young guys out there.
That's good. That's a good point. One of the things I've noticed, and I've heard people talk about this, that social media, things like TikTok, I watch people, right? As creepy as it sounds, I do watch people. And what you see is that everybody from a girl who's 14 years old to an old guy who's 60 years old, they're swiping on TikTok. They're going like,
Bro, it's crazy. I've seen it too.
Non-stop. Next video. So I tried this experiment a couple of days ago. This was 2-3 weeks ago. I went and started watching YouTube shorts non-stop, right? Most of it was Andrew and whatever, but there were other stuff in it too. And I kept swiping. Okay, got tired, kept swiping. So I took the pill they want me to take, and what I realized within 2 to 3 days' time, I can't focus on anything else. My mind's constantly wired. It's like having so much coffee, and I'm having conversations. I'm not able to focus on it because my mind's like, what's the next? It's not the real thing. It's just switch, next one. Imagine living that life on a day-to-day basis. You fucking can't focus on anything.
No.
and then the other part of that is that I have this concept where I constantly audit myself. I audit myself on a regular basis. And one of my key thing is that know your enemy, which is in the art of war. In Robert Greene talks about it as well. So most people know who their enemies are externally, or the government, the inflation, this, that, COVID, all of that stuff, right? They never audit internally and say, well, who are my internal enemies? Because that's your biggest enemy.
That's powerful. Yeah.
So I list out my internal enemies like, okay, laziness, maybe, lust, greed, this self-doubt, all of that stuff, right? And you dig deep into what these things represent. It could be lack of confidence. It could be lack of support network, whatever that is. So I constantly check myself on those levels. And once I sort out my internal enemy, next time when my internal enemy wants to swipe, this is because I want to be comfortable. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm doing the other thing. I'm doing the push-up. I'm doing the other thing.
That's powerful, yeah.
So I constantly audit my internal enemy, and once I know where my enemy wants to take me, I just reject it, right? Most of the time, the answer is, oh, you got to go work out, or you got to call that client, or you got to do this, you got to do that. That's most of the time the answer. We all know what the answer is. We ignore it like it doesn't exist, and we live a life. And that's why when men get to 35, 40, when they've done the hard work a little bit, have their family set up, they get into this thing called midlife crisis, because they did all of those things believing, okay, if I follow these blueprints and hang out with the people I hang out with, I'm going to get somewhere, retire happy, blah, blah, blah. And most of them get disappointed. And that's why they get into alcohol, have multiple affairs, ruin their families, whatever that is, right? We have all been through the same thing. But that's a lack of not knowing who your enemy is.
Yeah.
That's my point to add to it.
No, I like that. And for me, actually, I identified, and this will make me sound crazy, but I literally talk to my mind as if it's another entity.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I do too.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I'm not crazy then.
No, I mean, I've not discussed this outside, but you got to be your own best life coach, right? I was telling the other guy one day, he said, oh, I'm 17. I started 2 businesses. I don't know the details of it. I feel absolutely shit. I feel depressed. I said, if you were your own life coach, you would fire yourself, because you talk shit to yourself all day. That's what most people do. We all do it. But the second you do it, you need to say, okay, you know what? This I am doing. Like, you walk into a group. A lot of people ask me, if I walk into a meeting or something, how do I behave? Get out of your head first. No one's looking at you. You're telling yourself, like, everyone's looking at me. I should say this. I should say that. I'm stressed out. You stop thinking like that, because you're your own worst life coach. If your thoughts were put on a screen and people can watch it, you'll be embarrassed of yourself. Truly. That's most people's case. Yeah. So I think, like, okay, if someone's watching my thought, what are they going to say? So initially, you pretend that you believe in something, believe something else, and it gradually becomes your own mentality.
You act as if,
it becomes normal for you, because your brain is as powerful as it is. It's quite stupid, right? So I have this thing that initially I pretended to be somebody, then I wanted to be somebody, then I worked towards somebody, now I'm somebody.
Yeah.
So that's the whole idea, step by step.
So for me, and I've spoken about this quite a few times, it was 2 things. One is creating my own uniform. I realized that whenever I used to go to a job, I would dress up in their uniform and I would adopt, like, I was a different person. Hi, sir, welcome to blah, 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 blah. How can I help you? Yeah. So I created my own uniform where I would wear a certain hat and a certain watch every time I wrote emails for clients.
Switch on the...
So and every single time, like, I would be regular Dylan Madden, but then as soon as it was time for me to get to work, hat would go on, watch would go on, and I would go into flow immediately. And eventually, as we just spoke about, you get to where that's just natural. Like, I can sit down at any second of the day and start just banging out emails, banging out content easily. Yeah. But then the second thing was creating an alter ego. Whenever Andrew gave me the nickname Moneybag Madden, that became my alter ego. It was like my better version, but it wasn't so far out that it was like almost like a fantasy figure. My alter ego was somebody that was earning just a little bit more money. He was just a little bit more confident, had just a slightly better relationship. So it gave me a sense of, like, a direction, of a guide. And I recommend anybody that's watching this to create your own alter ego and make it real. Don't make it some, like, Marvel character or any of that nonsense. Like, give it a name, like, literally be able to see it in your mind. Give it, like, okay, I want to earn $5,000 a month. Yeah. How am I going to earn $5,000 a month? Well, I'm going to do it from working with X amount of clients offering this skill. And then break it into actions. That way it's not just this, like, idea. It's like you literally have a plan to get there. Yeah. And that's literally what I did, bro. Whenever I lived in Qatar, I've within the first, I think it was 3 months that I was living there, I hit my first $8,000 a month. Nice. That went from me being like $1,200 a month to $8,000 a month, like that. So I left Dubai, went to Georgia for about 2-3 weeks, went to Budapest for about a month, and then that was when I went to Qatar. So within that time frame, I was like, I'm done. I'm done living like this. I'm tired of having to take on these regular gigs, blah, 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 blah. and I created this alter ego, and it was gave me a sense of direction, and it also gave me the actions, which is the main thing.
You zone in.
That I needed to take. Yeah, and then every time I hit those, my alter ego becomes even more powerful, and then that gives me something to work towards. Like my alter ego now, Moneybag Madden. I am Moneybag Madden. I've became him like years ago by this point.
I agree.
But I still use it as kind of like a guide. Like in my mind, sometimes I'll be like, would Moneybag Madden be doing this? If it's yes, then I'll do it. If no, then I stop doing it immediately. Yep. And I change whatever I'm doing or the path that I'm going on. Example, which I don't have TikTok on my phone, but like for me, it's Instagram. Yep. If I'm not careful, so I'm posting on Instagram all the time.
It's meant to be addictive.
Oh yeah, bro. I'll start scrolling, and then my brain starts feeling like it's dying, and I'm like, would Moneybag Madden, with living in the house that he lives in, with the lifestyle that he has, would he be spending 20 minutes scrolling on some explore page, watching somebody else's lifestyle? Yes or no? And I'm like, well, obviously no. And then I immediately go back in my own life.
This is true. The alter ego thing is powerful.
Yeah.
I've done that for many years, and it helped me make some good decisions. And it's a guideline. Most people don't have a blueprint or a guideline to guide their mind. The minds are very powerful. And that's a good point, man.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And most people just go through life just based off their impulses. They're completely reactive. They don't have any, they might kind of think ahead, but it's really like, okay, later I'm going to eat steak for dinner. I'm like, okay, bro, think a little bit deeper. Think a little bit further into your life.
Well, they don't need to, right? The comfort is very comforting.
That is a fair point. That is a fair point.
There are different levels to it. Once you have no money, you know you're broke and you're struggling, you're angry, you're desperate. So you either try to come out of it or start hanging out with your other broke friends and, well, this is my reality. You know, look at people in other parts of the world, that might be their reality because the environment isn't suitable enough. Then there's also another dangerous point where you make just enough money, you pay all your bills, you got a bit of savings, and then you relax. Like, I've made it. Just you know what? Money doesn't buy you happiness. Yeah. So I'll just do this. You know, they'll just there's a new Netflix series coming. Oh, there's brunch I have to go to because my friend's birthday. I can drink for 8 hours. Yeah, and that's easy. That's very addictive because you're not in any danger. Yeah, right. So both are dangerous in a span of 20 years. The guy who made just about enough money will end up having a shit retirement or bad relationship, wife leaves them, all of that stuff. Yeah. They give up their masculine need to explore and take over and conquest for the sake of having a little bit of money. Yeah. I don't want to live that life. No. So if that's a life I want to live, I'd rather be poor.
Well, yeah, I mean, people have this assumption that they're going to always have the amount of energy, the amount of opportunities and all of that forever. But probably not. Like, I know 20 years from now, like I just turned 29 in January. Yeah. 20 years from now, I'm not going to probably have, like, I'll still be energized, I'll be healthy, but I'm not going to have the same access to opportunities. Sure, I'll have bigger opportunities, but imagine the compound effect of right now I maximize everything around me. It's going to compound over the next 20 years, and I'll be at an even bigger level. Yeah. So, and people, especially people watching this, it doesn't matter what level you're at, you have opportunities right now that if you maximize in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, your life will be drastically different.
This is true.
And that you have this misconception that you're always going to be energized, you're always going to be healthy, you're always going to have all these different things. That's not the case. I mean, with inflation, the way some of the world is being directed, you don't know.
You never know, You
never know. I won't drop certain keywords, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. The guarantees that you have right now might not be the guarantees tomorrow. That might not even exist.
If I would have only not played video games and watched Netflix as much and would have just finally listened to AG and Dylan and applied what they said, I wouldn't be living in a pod eating bugs.
They won't, man. That's the thing, or they won't. The thing is, like I said, all information we speak about now is available online. The issue is, this is basically true. The thing you go through, you're constantly auditing yourself. I want to do better. Like I've told this to somebody, every thought of mine is in this phone. There's a notepad with millions of documents, not million, thousands of documents. Like, okay, I'll say this, I'll say this. Everything that I do now over the last 2 years is being planned. None of this, including this particular episode or anything that I do, is not just random. I don't do random stuff anymore. I have a plan. I have a grand plan that I'm moving towards slowly. And it's hard work, right? It's tiring to constantly audit yourself, criticize yourself, play this role, make sure you're moving forward. Then you take 2 steps forward, 5 steps back, constantly audit yourself, be responsible for yourself, be accountable. That's hard work. That is what people don't want to do. They all want to have money, the lifestyle we live and whatever, but to constantly be accountable to yourself is a hard thing. So what would you tell people?
So people all the time, they think that it's just, I just live this. I actually had this conversation with a guy that works for me. It's like, man, really just want to live out in Dubai and drive a Lambo all the time and do this. And I was like, bro, do you realize for how many years I was broke and grinding and how hard I work even now?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but you're always just hanging out with like AG and hanging out with these people and going here. I was like, that's what you see, but you also don't see all the hours that I'm putting in every single day on calls, meeting people, working. And I had a deep conversation with him about that. And for anybody that's watching this, like, you think that, yes, we do live a fantastic life. We live an interesting life. We go on adventures. We do all of that. But the amount of work, the amount of forethought that goes into this, the amount of analyzing our own mind to make sure that our mind is completely on point, making sure diet, everything is like giving us that mental clarity.
Yeah.
Cutting certain people out of our life, bringing certain people into our life, having to be at tables. Like, I was out with you the other night and we were around some other gentlemen, and some of the words you were using, I was just like, I have no idea what they're saying. I love being at tables like that because it forces me to rise.
Yeah.
Like, I was meeting with a dude the other day. He's very, very well off, and he was dropping all these things. I was like, yep. Okay. Yep. I have no idea what he's saying, but I'm going to look this up later. Like, I want to be at tables.
That's what I like about you.
I feel,
and
yeah, exactly.
You all, whenever we meet, you have these questions, very specific questions.
Yeah.
I know that you've already thought before you ask me.
Yeah.
And that's very important. That's the same with me. When I meet somebody about me, I was like, okay, I want to have this chat. We should talk, but I have this 1 or 2 questions I want to ask him. I want to drop it at some point.
Yeah.
And I'm going to gather that in my brain or put it on my phone. Okay, that's for reference later.
Oh yeah, bro. I literally put it in my notepad, and I'm like, if this, and this is advice for anybody who's watching this, don't ask oddly specific questions.
Yeah.
Like, I had a guy ask me, he was like, what do you do for taxes? And I was like,
Yeah, I get that.
no, I'm not going to tell you that. But like, if there's somebody that you respect, like, you've got many attributes that like I want to emulate and that I respect about you. So I'll be like, okay, I know that AG and I will be sitting down if the opportunity presents itself. Then I'll ask the question. If not, then I'll just wait till the next time.
Sure.
And you need to actually think about the questions, because something that really turns me off is people ask me, they know, hey, Dylan, I know you're really busy, and they ask me one of the most basic questions ever. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
Just use Google, use YouTube or something. Like, if you're going to ask me a question, ask a very specific question that I can give you an answer that you can then apply and change your life. And the more specific the question, the more thought you put into it, the better. That way you're not wasting somebody else's time, because also the people that you surround yourself with, if you do get to sit at tables with hyper successful people, they're going to respect you even more. Because, like, that was a really good question.
Yeah.
And then maybe it'll take them back to whenever they were on the up and up or something. But if you just,
networking the right way, people don't know.
Exactly.
A lot of people think just shaking hands with CEOs and multi-millionaires is the way to go.
Yeah.
Most of them don't want to talk to you because you have no value to add. You got to network from the bottom. You
Yeah.
got to do both. If you can do both, great.
Yeah.
But you got to shake the hand of the guy who is a multi-millionaire CEO, whatever, just the same way you would shake a hand of the waiter who's serving you at that table.
Yep.
You know, tip them well, treat them nice, and that becomes your thing. Everybody knows that he's respectful. It's nice,
Yeah.
right? It's easy to pretend humble when you have nothing, but it's very hard to behave humble when you have everything. But it's good to have that habit in general, and people notice. In a table of very successful people, they notice all your mannerisms, how you drink the water, how you talk, how you listen. All of those things are important,
Yeah.
right? Networking is key. Most people don't know it. A lot of people message me and say, oh, you have the brotherhood. I don't have the brotherhood. How do I find the brotherhood? The answer is in the question, my friend. You got to look for it. It's not always easy. You got to look for it.
Right.
I've got a question for you.
Okay.
You've been in tables of very successful men, whether they are rich, influential, whatever that is. What are the lessons or key things you have learned? If you want to summarize 3 key things about money or success or whatever.
Oh, man, I've learned so many things. Let me think off the top of my head. One of them is going back to the networking thing, that for the longest time, I thought that I had to be self-made.
Yeah.
But I started realizing the more successful people I talk to, they had mentors, they have good people around them.
Yeah.
And you can still be self-made if you need that ego thing or whatever. But like, no person is 100% self-made.
Yeah.
They had conversations, like I can go back through my entire career, if you want to call it that, where it was like one conversation I had with somebody, or some guy gave me the time of day to sit me down and talk with me.
Exactly.
I was like, oh, that's how that works. And then I would apply it. So you need to stop trying to be a lone wolf. You need to surround yourself with as many hyper successful people as you can, but also other people that are just as hungry as you are. Like sitting at the tables with people that are at my level, even below, but I see that hunger. It energizes me.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
So like surround yourself with both types of people.
Yeah.
But then also, and this is a key thing with, as you start networking with people, show them that you have actually taken action on what they've told you. If you're that guy that's always asking questions, but you're not updating them, they're going to probably stop hanging out with you. So for me, I make a point every single time somebody sits down and gives me their time to give me some value or give me some wisdom, I immediately act on it. And then like by the next day, I've already started implementing it, and I let them know that I've started implementing it. Because guess what? Now they're like, okay, this guy actually is serious, and maybe we can do something together at some point. He just needs to apply that. Okay, cool. Yeah, any other questions you have? Like every person that like is around me that's like a mentor, I can pick up the phone and call them at any time because they know I'm not going to waste their time and I'm actually going to apply it.
That's beautiful.
Those are the two things. And the third thing, and this also leads back into networking, because people all the time ask me about, like, Dylan, how can you network with these types of people? I don't have any value. Bro, I was like 275 pounds, had no skills, but yet I was able to network with other people. And the reason was because they could tell I wasn't coming at them trying to take something from them or see if they could.
There's a value exchange.
Yeah. Or see if I could get something out of them. I just wanted to be around interesting people and have a good conversation. I would always lead with value. That's what I teach inside the real world, is like lead with value. Like that's actually one reason Andrew took me serious, is for like 6 to 7 months before I even asked if we could meet, I was every day finding things I could help him with, making graphics, doing this. I started an affiliate account. I did this. I did. Like I could just list out a whole thing. Ed Lattimore, the reason he gave me the opportunity to do marketing for one of his books became a bestseller was because I was that guy that at any second of the day, I would find something I could do to help you. Or if he asked me, I would help him. Or with Cernovich, he let me manage one of his events, which then turned into a bunch of other opportunities. He already kind of knew me, and he ended up DMing me. He was like, hey Dylan, I know you're coming to the event, but by chance, would you be open to helping me with managing? I was like, sure. So it's about putting yourself in those situations, taking action, and then lead with value without expecting anything.
I like that. Lead with value is obviously important. And then showing them you've taken actions it's inspiring, right? People message me and you, and they ask for questions, and we spend time responding to it, and then that's it.
100%.
It's exciting when people are like, yeah, I did this and it worked out. That's good karma, good energy.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Since you brought up Andrew and our brother, who we're part of the same brotherhood, what do you think about what's going on with them, with the Tate brothers?
Oh, man. I could go super deep into it, I won't, for legal reasons, but it's nonsense. It really is nonsense. For me, it's always been interesting because you see what the media tries to purport.
Yeah.
But then, even both of us, we've been around him. I've lived with him.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not even true. He's one of the most kind, generous people ever. He's part of why I finally started taking things serious. Yeah. And I've seen so many, like literally by this point, thousands of people, because I used to manage a lot of the testimonials, literally thousands of people, their lives have been changed because of him.
Yeah.
And like little things, like the media, a news story will come up and say, today we did X, Y, Z. And I'm like, no, you didn't. And I'm not going to name drop a certain thing, but I'm like, that's not true. It's sitting over there in the yard. It's not even true.
It's a massive psyop, bro.
It's a massive psyop. And we know the reasons why it's happening and all that. But I mean, for me, I think this is going, when I say I think, like I know, once he gets out, this is going to take him to the whole next level. Because now even the Parliament in the UK is talking about him. So it's
how ridiculous that is.
It really is ridiculous.
It doesn't make any sense.
$2 billion?
£2 billion spent.
Are you pounds?
£2 billion spent on it. Yeah, I believe in it's disgusting what's happening.
Yeah.
You know, I don't, like you said, I don't want to go legal cases, but I know for a fact when people come up to me and say, some of them, when I walk around, it's like Andrew Tate, you know, when I go to some places, then I tell them I'm not this and that. And they're all telling, you know what, we love his messages. People just watch the stuff. Even kids, like I had a video posted on Twitter, kids from 12, 11 years old change their minds. They're talking about making money, getting into real estate. Even 20-year-old, 22-years telling me like he really changed my life. And I'm working out now, I'm taking things seriously. That influence cannot be bought, and they know that he's a very influential man, not just on social media, but in people's mind.
Like in the actual world.
In people's mind, he has made a big influence, and he has become dangerous now, which is why. Let's not get too deep into it.
Yeah.
We've got 5 minutes. I have the surprise question for you.
Oh, no.
All right. It's a good, it's been a good conversation. I wish it was another hour. If someone would write a book about you, what would it be called, and what would be the contents of that book? The name and the contents of that book.
The name would be The Adventures of Moneybag Madden. Instant bestseller. And I would have to pull some strings to make that happen.
Yeah.
The contents, though, would be the story of somebody that came into the world and got to experience both sides of the world, like from a poverty standpoint to the money standpoint, but they believed in themselves, and they also had some positive people around, like my mom, my #1 fan. She's been my #1 fan since forever. Yeah. But like started in a small town. I used to stutter. Like a lot of people don't know that I used to stutter. It wasn't like some big medical thing, but I would stutter, especially whenever I would get nervous. Used to stutter, was super overweight, had no actual skills in the world. I was considered learning disabled. That's actually something I don't say publicly a lot of the time. But I was considered learning disabled in like 2nd to 4th grade because I couldn't read, couldn't write.
Wow. Okay.
But now I get paid lots of money to write emails and all that type of stuff. So it's kind of funny. But it would basically just be the story of somebody that had this like insane belief in themselves, backed by feeling guilty because they and like heavily self-critical about themselves. But that combination, as they gained life experience, and like it formed into like this internal fire that turned into a superpower. And from that point, they just kept leveling up and started changing the other people's lives around them. And we'll see where the book goes, though. I like
That's
that.
beautiful. That's funny, right? The same conversation I had with Luke. We all go through similar timelines.
Yeah.
How we go through. It's like I was bullied. I had this. I had self-doubt. I've kind of gone through exactly the same timeline you've been through.
Yeah.
We lived in 2 different parts of the world, right?
It's crazy.
But that's the burden of being this ambitious. That's the burden of being somebody who's extraordinary. Let me just say that, because it, like I said before, it's hard work to be so much accountable in everything you do. Like when I send voice messages to you, anybody else, I listen to it 2 times to make sure, like, what did I say wrong? I could have said this.
Bro, I do that too.
It's obsessive. It's an obsession, right? People think I'm nuts. I don't say these things out loud. But that's how we work. That's the burden you have to take if you really want to do, if you really want to be that 1% man.
100%,
right?
bro.
So it's been an interesting conversation. I wish we had 1 more hour. We're running out of time.
We could do it again.
We should do it again, man. Thanks for coming.
Always.
Now we're gonna do whatever we need to do with this, and we'll speak soon. We'll hang out soon, man.
Let's do it.
Cigars. Take care, brother. Cheers.
Cheers.